Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Green from 4MS Company, and we're in Portland, Oregon in the US. And we just finished and released a new module, which if you've been to previous Superbooths, it's been here a few times, but we've actually finished it now, and it's in stores. You can buy it. It's called the Spherical Wavetable Navigator. We call it the Swan. I'll probably call it the Swan throughout this demo. And it is a 6-channel synthesizer. There's 6 oscillators, 6 VCOs, but in addition, each VCO has a VCA and a LFO, which can run as an envelope too, so we really think of it as a synthesizer. And I'm going to show some of the basic, how it works, the basic way it's structured, and then I'm going to skip all the intermediate stuff and just jump right into some advanced features. So hopefully everyone here can find something to come away with. If not, just hear some interesting drone and melody sounds for 20 minutes. So let's begin. So here we have 6 oscillators all tuned together and all playing the same wave shape, so it really sounds like one. You can control the level of each with these sliders here, and you can mute them at the top. You can transpose by octaves, and you can transpose by semitones, and you can also transpose by cents, 1/100th of a semitone, this kind of thing. Let me bring that back. And each channel can not only, you can globally move everything around, you can also individually adjust them. So for instance, something like this. And if you are no good at making chords individually, you can clear that. You can also, there are preset chords in here. There's 25 of them, and you can just push and turn the transpose knob and pick one you might like. Something, or I could tune it to some other instrument in small increments. If you've ever made patches or even on software with multiple VCOs and you tune them perfectly, it sounds a little, well, it's maybe a little more flat than if you do a thing called detuning, where you take each oscillator and you detune it from a center point by a different amount, and you can do that easily by holding the fine button and pushing and turning. So now I've detuned them. I can go pretty far. So you can go all the way past semitone detunings. Let me bring it back a little. So here's a lot fuller sounding. So somewhere there I got a little ahead of myself and I started changing the wavetable of each one, but let me jump to that. So each channel can be assigned a different waveform within. Now, if you know wavetable synthesis already, this might be a little review, but a waveform, you can think of a wavetable as a waveform, and so it makes a sound, a particular sound, and here we have different waveforms I'm browsing through. The way the Spherical Wavetable Navigator works is there's spheres, which is a collection of 27 different waveforms, and the way they're arranged is in a sphere, quote, with quote marks. Mathematically, it's not correct, but it's 3 by 3 by 3. So you could think of a cube, perhaps. And you can navigate in 3 different dimensions. So here I'll navigate in 1 dimension. Let me turn some more on. So I'm navigating around, and when you hit the end of the cube or the sphere, it wraps around. So we think of it as a round thing, so that's why we call it a sphere. So now I can navigate in another dimension. See, it's repeating. I'm just turning this knob. You see that? Just turning in the same direction. And then a third dimension you can go, which is why it's not really a sphere, because you have latitude, longitude, and then you don't really have that on a sphere. But so you have those three degrees of freedom, those three dimensions. And the center knob, the big one with the lights all around it, which everyone wants to grab first, which is the right thing to do, navigates in a kind of spiral zigzag pattern around the entire sphere. So there's 3 by 3 by 3, so that's 27. This goes through a pattern, snaking through all 27 waveforms as you turn this knob. So you can just find the sound that you want, for instance, by just turning this knob. And it morphs between waveforms too, so you may never actually be exactly on a particular waveform. So easy to make drone type things because wavetables are so rich often in harmonics. There is oh, let me just slight detour. I'm spinning this knob over here called presets. This is super useful, and I'm going to explain it later, but I'm going to use it now. Let's say I like this sound. Sorry. Okay. Let's say I like this sound. I can save it. I can hold the preset button down and save it in one of the slots. There was 108 slots. I'll explain this later, but just remember this sound because I'll come back to it. Okay. So, not only can you do drones, but you could also do melodies pretty easily. As I mentioned, there's 6 VCAs and 6 LFOs. If I push that button, each channel's LFO is routed to its VCA, and so you get notes. Now, this is a sequence, and it's a sequence of notes from a chord, one of these preset chords I had. And I could still change the timbre of an individual channel, maybe. It's not really a sequence like in a grid sequence that you might think. It's actually 6 different LFOs. They all are just 60 degrees out of phase, meaning that they fire one after another. So here, you can hear just 2. Here's 3, 4. Each one's going the same speed. Since it's not on a grid per se, I can change the speed of each one. So here, let me double time this one. I'll double time this one also. Triple time this one. Right? So I can adjust each one individually. You can also adjust the shape, the LFO shape or the envelope as we're using it now individually. So let's make this one more percussive. Or a backwards ramp up. And do another effect to this one. You can also adjust the phase, so not only how fast they're going, but where they land in the measure. Let's see, these two are double timed. I'm going to push this one further. Now they're going together. Now I can make one go later. So the phase can be adjusted. You can fine-tune adjust all these things by holding the fine button down when you turn any knob. Right? So this is kind of nice. So let me show you the preset thing. I like this. I'm going to save this one too in another slot. There I have the 3rd slot. And I saved it. Now I can go back to that one thing I had before. Play with that and then back to this one. Saving a preset saves the entire state of the thing minus any patch cables you may have. And let me show you what you can do with patch cables. Let's go back to that drone again. Bring it down an octave. And not only can you route the LFOs to the VCAs, you also, internally, without patching, you can also, each LFO has its own output jack. And you can route it, you can patch it, to anything you want. So here I've selected a sine wave shape on that LFO with the shape knob. I'm going to patch it into this dispersion jack. Turn up the amplitude a little bit. So speed, or slow it down. Let's go back to drone mentality here. Slow our heartbeats down and just hear the didgeridoos. So that motion is created from this LFO here. which is, hopefully, if I have time in this demo, I'll show you the global clock, the structure of the global clock dividers and channel clock dividers. But this is running on a time, and all the LFOs are synced to some kind of integer multiple of that if you want to use that. If you use the find button to adjust the speeds, it breaks that. But that's a tangent. So let's go back to the melody. I want to cover one more thing there. Oh, I could leave this patched. Sorry, that was the drone. Back to the melody we had. And let me show you external modulation. So I have a peg here, just making an LFO. I'm going to patch an LFO into this spread CV jack, which spread was the chord selection that I was doing before, or transpose. Actually, I'll do the spread. Which gives it a nice effect of picking a different chord every so often. The peg, as LFO goes up and down, it's picking different chords. I could synchronize these to have it pick in a more predictable pattern, but here's sort of semi-random. You could do transpose instead. Slow down kind of effect. There's quantization scales preset too. That's all I'll say about that. But you can select minor, major to quantize, or free and just do any kind of microtonal scale as you wish or whatever. So yeah, that is the basic overview of how you use it. There's CV jacks for all these controls. Now let me skip to some advanced features here. So far we've only been hearing one wavetable. Let's go back to a blank state. We've only been hearing one wavetable. That is one set of the 27 waveforms. Turn that down a little. You can also pick, it comes shipped with 12 different wavetable. We call them a sphere, 12 different spheres. If you push and turn this knob, you can select a different one. Some are harsher than others. Some are softer. Each one is 27 waveforms. Now, you're not limited to those 12 that this ships with. You can load your own, or you could load someone else's too if they gave you the wave file. It's super easy to do. I'm going to show how to do it from a sample that we have here. This is well, here, let me show you from start. You enter wavetable mode by pushing the 3 lit up buttons at the same time. And now we are... you can see this light flashes red for record, and this one flashes green for monitor. I'm going to plug in a sample that I have loaded from before. It's a vocal sample. I'm going to push record, and it's going to wait for me to press to hear a signal. So let's make sure it's on the right one and push play.
Do not stay away from me.
Okay, so that was a vocal sample, and now I've loaded it into the Swan. So that was 2.5 seconds, and it just recorded 2.5 seconds of audio, and then it chopped it up into 27 waveforms. So let's hear those 27 waveforms by browsing. Okay, you can kind of almost hear it say, "Do not stay away from me." A little bit, you can use your imagination. It's not a sampler, it's a wavetable oscillator, but the formants are there, the sounds are there. Now, of that 2.5 seconds, it just by default, it evenly splits it up into 27 equally spaced waveforms. I can change that with spread, and I can bunch it up towards the beginning, and you can see these colored lights bunch up towards the beginning of the... You almost hear "do not stay up." So it's the first half. I could push, turn, and grab the last half of that 2.5 seconds. So now I've shifted. I'm just grabbing the last second or so. So here you have a different set of waveforms. So you can mess around with this until you find the ones you like, or whatever kind of sound you're going for. You can also scale them up, so grab bigger chunks, bigger waveforms, and then resample them down with the scale button. Of course, that it makes the pitch go up, so I can turn the octave down. I can almost hear it talking more. It's a little more talky because I grabbed bigger waveforms, or longer waveforms. Sorry, bigger waveforms. So, but I had to scale the octave down. So. Anyways, you can also add effects. Let's say you're browsing through and you say, ooh, that one's too harsh. I'm going to add a low-pass filter to that. You can add effects to one waveform, or you can add them to all the waveforms, like pushing and turning. We have a metalizer effect also, and a bit reduction, and a wave folder. And you can mess around each waveform. You could add effects. You can control the gain, the level, the normalization amount, and then also the gain. So it can attenuate a waveform if I want a quiet spot in my wavetable for some reason. Seam smoothness you can also change. So all these sounds came from this sample I loaded in there, and that could have been from a patch I had or sample, on my phone or a computer or something. And then when you got it, how you like it, you can save it. So I'm using the preset knob, but it's not a preset. It's a sphere. It's a wavetable, and I'm going to spin this knob and pick a color I like. It may be difficult to see the colors on the video, but here's blue ones. So let's pick one of these blue ones, and I'm going to save this by holding the button down and then tapping again to confirm. So now I've jumped out of wavetable mode and I'm back in normal mode, and here I am. I'm in the wavetable. So this is the kind of formatty, vocally thing we just created. You could do some transposition sounds, or some detuning. You can hear that one that I applied the low pass filter on. The other one I applied the wave folder on. So yeah, there's the wavetable I just made. Now that's in my collection of spheres here. I can push and turn to browse. Pick all the different ones that I've recorded over the time, and plus the built-in ones. And let me check how I'm doing on time. Yeah, that's the main way to go about that. You can save up to 108 of your own wavetables, and then browse around. And right now we have a piece of software called Sphere Edit. You can use it on the Mac, Windows, Linux. It's open source. It's based on Synthesis Technologies' Wave Edit program. And you can design waveforms, import wave files, apply effects and things like this, and then plug your computer audio into this waveform input jack and press play into Swan. There's a button at the top, and it will play all the waveforms 8 times repeated to fill the 2.5 second cycle, and you don't need to worry about that. You just press play into Swan when you're in wavetable mode, and it'll record and download that wavetable into your Swan. On this firmware version, the one we've released, there's no way to export your tables, but we will have a version 2 out pretty shortly with the ability to go the other way. So by the time you've gotten one of these and have recorded some of your own wavetables, that should be out, where you can then dump your wavetables back into your computer or onto a sampler or something like that, and then share it with other people. So yeah, that's the Swan. There's a ton of other features. I skipped all the intermediate stuff, so we're right outside here. If you want to come by and put some headphones on and play on one of them, or if you want one of us to give you a demo, we'd love to. So yeah.